So I'm not going to lie, this feels very much like an episode of carp fishing, ready, steady, cook. I've got about 5-6 hours in front of me to try and catch some fish with the contents of this bucket. So today I am going to be using the Nash Citruz range. So what have they actually sent me? I've got, by the looks of it, a couple of bags of the 15mm shelf life boilies, a couple of bags of fizz and stick mix, some 2mm pellet, a couple of tubs of pop-ups, some of the citrus syrup, and some cultured hook baits. Oh, sorry, one more thing, the little citrus concentrate spray. So, like I say, I've got 5 or 6 hours, got 3 rods, and it is the middle of December, so could be hard going, could be easy going. This is obviously known to be a very good cold water bait and winter bait, so hopefully we'll have a few fish, but got to think of an approach now. So with what they've sent, I reckon if I do solid bags, so I use the fizz and stick mix and the pellets for solid bags with some of the liquid, so I might do that on a couple of rods, and then do a slightly bigger spread of bait using just boilies. Margins do really well at this lake, so I might have a bit of a spread of bait in the margin and one of the cultured hook baits over the top. So let's get cracking, we haven't got much time, let's try and get some winter carp. Okay, so the first rod I'm going to put out is going to be the margin rod. It's a really simple setup. I've literally got a fluorocarbon leader. This goes down to a little leg clip, and then basically a combi rig. You've got some supple braid just above some putty, so you've got loads of movement, and then quite an aggressive hooking arrangement with a multi-rig on a size 4 claw. So what I'm going to use as hook bait for this is one of the cultured pop-ups, the citrus ones. I'll just bring that and pull it very slightly into the swivel before tying it off, and then blobbing it just before putting it out. So just a couple of knots, it just helps it hold that bit tighter. Trim down the floss, and I don't actually have a lighted hand, but obviously when that's done, just blob that off, and then that will be sitting perfectly like that. Obviously I'll check it in the margin, just make sure it's bang on, but I'm sure it will be. It's quite a lump of putty there. And then I'm just going to give it a little spray with the concentrated spray. There's a couple of sprays just to coat it. All I'm going to do is, I'm not going to put much bait out. I'm just going to put a handful of the 15mm baits which I've got here, and just keep topping up throughout the day really. So these are really nice. They're actually 2 different shades of pink. So some of them look washed out, and it looks like it's almost like an instant pre-baited spot, I guess, because some of them look like they're washed out, so it looks like they've been baited over time. So by having the different shades of pink really does help for quick bites. So I'm going to drop this one out just into the margin, and like I say, put a handful of bait over, and then just keep topping up throughout the day. I find that sort of tactic works really well, especially on day tickets and margins, because a lot of people quite often put bait in the margins at the end of their session and that sort of thing. So they're used to a kind of quite a bit of bait just going in one go. So if I'm doing that throughout the day, sometimes even just the noise is enough to attract them. So let's get this margin rod out, and then we get the solid bags out as well. Okay, so I'm just going to drop this down my left margin. It's quite nice, there's a few swims along this way free, so it's had next to no activity. So just drop that along a little bit. There you go, it feels quite about 3-4 foot, which is pretty much what the lake's like all over. Right, one rod out there ready to go. I'm just going to put a handful of bait over as well. Like I say, I'm just going to keep topping this up for about every hour, just with a handful, just to try and keep that attraction going in. There we go, let's get the solids out there. finally got a bite, and if I'm honest, it's taken a bit longer than I'd hoped. It's been very quiet today. There hasn't been a great deal of fish out, but I'm into one, and still got a couple of hours till darkness. And I was actually up here last week and didn't have much during the day, but as soon as darkness came, ended up having a few more fish. And I think between about 3 p.m. and 11, I'd had about 15 bites, and I'd only had a couple actually during the day, during daylight hours. So it seems that at the moment they're turning on a bit as the night draws in. So hopefully this is a sign of things to come. This is one of the solid bag rigs that's gone, the one that was just out to the willow just over there. So as soon as I get this one in the net, I'm gonna just cut the line, get another bag out. Oh, where's he going? Get another bag straight out, just in case there's more about. And hopefully we can start having a few fish. Let's get this left rod out of the way. There we go, nice December carp. All right, so that one's nice and secure in the net. So, like I said, I'm just going to get this straight back out. Literally just bit the line with my teeth, tied on a new loop. I'll get a bag straight back out over there, because there's a good chance. There's a lot of fish in here, so there's a good chance of another quick bite if I get it out. There we go. So I'm going to take this chance to redo the right hand rod as well, just because it's been out there for probably a couple of hours, and I feel like with the darkness coming in a little bit, there's a good chance of a bite. So I want to get myself ready for when they do start looking for it. Bring this one in, put a fresh bag on. So I just get my right one back out, and I've actually just seen just a little bit of fizzing about there. So yeah, just off the island. Hopefully that'll produce a nice quick bite. But I'll get this rod sorted, and then we'll have a look at the fish. Well, what cliche do we go for here? Do we go for the face only a mother could love, or do we go for the old warrior? I feel like the old warrior is slightly kinder. Let's go with that. But nonetheless, it's a winter bite on the citrus on just a winter day session. Oh, and I think he wants to go back, so yeah, he's probably seen enough. Let's get him back. Hopefully we can have a few more bites before the day ends. There he goes. Back to fight another day. Nice. Okay, so solid bag wise, like I say, I'm going to be using a mixture of the fizz and stick mix and the 2mm pellets. So it's going to be predominantly the 2mm pellets, but I will just show you, firstly I'll show you the rig that I'm using. So it is literally the most simple rig in all the land. So it's about a 2.5 inch little KD rig on a super supple braid, and then as a hook bait I'm just using one of the little citrus pop-ups, which I've trimmed right down. So it's only probably about an 8mm hook bait, so a small bait amongst obviously loads of small particles, and with the short hook link as well. Hopefully the whole bag will be engulfed as one. So that is the plan. So I'll show you, I'm just using literally the mini bag, so the smallest bags available, because like I say, this time of year all I want is just like one bite's worth of attraction really. So to start with, I'm going to use the fizz and stick mix and just kind of coat the bottom, probably about 1/4 of the bag, So something like that, and then it's a case of putting the lead in first. So put the lead in one side, and then leave the hook and the hook bait out for now. And then I'm going to fill most of the bag with the citrus pellets. So near enough to the top. And then it's a case of feeding the hook bait down the opposite side of the bag to where the lead is. This way it keeps everything nice and separate. And obviously you want the hook, away from the hook bait. So when the PVA does melt, everything's exactly where it should be. Hook and hook bait just on top of a nice pile of bait. So by having the lead down one side, it means that it's always going to fall down lead first, hook bait on top. So you know that obviously a solid bag is going to present majority of the time anyway, but again, it just puts the odds in your favour. So then once I've done that, just use a little bit more of the stick mix just to coat the top, give something a bit smoother to tighten down to as well, to help it get that bit more solid. So then once that's all in there, it's a case of just squeezing everything up, making it all nice and tight. I mean, they don't need to be the most aerodynamic where I am here, because it's about a 20-yard chuck to the island, so I don't have to worry too much, but it's always kind of good practice to always do it the same way. Once you made it nice and tight, a little bit of PVA string. Let's cut that. Usually wrap it around a few times and then tie it off. So a couple of knots to tie it off, just overhand knots, and then trim off the excess. And again, just to make it more aerodynamic, like I said, I don't need to here, but just push in the corners, lick and stick both sides, and then just tidying up around the stem. Just leaves less residue around your hook bait when it does melt, especially this time of year when it takes a little bit longer to melt. If you can have as little PVA as possible, then why wouldn't you? There you go, so that's it. Hook bait one side, lead the other, nice and neat, literally just a little part of the bait, but enough to get a bite. Now the last thing that I will do is I've used some of this liquid. So the citrus liquid is PVA friendly, and I've got a syringe, there's already a bit in there. But just draw it through the syringe and then just inject it in. So you don't want to do it too quickly, because if you pump it in too fast then it will just end up coming straight back out. But if you inject it in nice and slowly, you can see it spreading amongst the pellets, so it just gives that extra attraction. And that, hopefully, is a winter bite. Can't beat a bite from the margin, can you? When that rod rips around, it's yeah, definitely gets the adrenaline pumping. So this one, 𝘃𝗶𝗀𝗲 came just before dark, just over the baited area, which I've been topping up probably about every hour, just a handful of boilies, and eventually, yeah, finally rattled off. So lovely 𝘃𝗶𝗀𝗲, and it just shows that both methods seem to work, whether it's solid bags or you are fishing over a bit of bait. Like I say, it's getting on for late December now, and it's still getting winter bites, so citrus is definitely a winter favourite. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, so make sure you subscribe to us and follow us on all various social media platforms. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.